Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to Can We Talk About It, where we talk about everything political, social, and cultural. And today we are talking about the fact that Erika Kirk did not lose custody of her children. Now, this is a rumor that has been going around on the internet, and I believe it started when Representative Anna Paulina accidentally slipped and said Erika lost her kids, and she meant to say Erika lost her husband. And I was digging through interviews for a different project that I'm working on, and I came across this interview that was not very popular, but we hear Erica talk about her relationship with her children and what she's doing because honestly, there's legitimate questions about where her children are when she spoke so much about being a traditional wife. When people are preaching the message of traditionalism, we kind of expect them to be living that life themselves. And one of the things that people dislike about this conservative trad wife movement is that a lot of the women who are talking about conservative trad wife ideals actually have nannies and full time jobs. And so preaching this message feels contradictory and it feels hypocritical. And so we're going to take a listen to this interview that Erica Kirk did on Fox News Sunday, where she talks about her children and what she's doing with them and how she's orienting them after her husband's death. And she talks a little bit about trad wife life as well. And I think she sort of backtracks on her messaging prior to her husband's death, which is understandable. But one thing that we have to do as Christians is we have to sometimes when we're teaching this hard message of trad wife or get married, have children, we have to understand that some people are not in that situation. And so we have to have grace and compassion for people who cannot be stay-at-home wives, right? For a multitude of reasons. So let's take a listen.
It's life.
It's a lot to manage. It's a whole new role. There's some real struggles in there, I would imagine.
Of course, I mean that's life. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Yes, I am grieving. Yes, alongside our great team running Turning Point USA. Yes, I'm raising my babies.
And so this is her response to everyone. I'm surmising that she's been doing a lot of press tours and conferences and talks, and she's talking back directly at her quote unquote haters. And so this is another instance of that where she's saying, look, I'm grieving, I'm running a company, and I'm raising my kids. So shut up and don't ask me any more questions about that.
And you don't separate those into different boxes. They can all coexist. And so, yeah, I take my babies to the office.
So for people who are wondering, where are Erika Kirk's children? Does she have them with her? Yes, I'm assuming she has a nanny or some kind of like helper, right? Because there's no way that she's running a bunch of meetings with a 3-year-old and a baby. It's just not happening. So yes, she confirms that her children are still with her. And yeah, she's taking him to the office with her and running the company. And now she's going to get into trad wife talk. And it's just, again, the way I'm going to say something. I feel like Erica hasn't lived a lot of life. And I'm going to say this because when you lived a lot of life and you're a Christian, you know when to speak and when to shut up. And you know when to start you start to have a little bit more grace for people's different circumstances. So, yes, we have history with Erica speaking as though, she's never going to be I love being at home. I don't understand why you would want to do boss babe culture. But it's like there is a blend of that she did not acknowledge prior to the assassination of her husband, and God has a way sometimes of showing you where you need to open up your heart a little bit more, and this is not a call to condone sin, it's more so like, just understand that sometimes when you're talking to people who you have no idea what their life is like, and you're over here talking about and condemning, people who are working multiple hours as if they want to be away from their children, as if they don't want to be home. But at the same time, you're not, she just admits she's not a trad wife. She admits this here in this interview. Let's take a listen.
I want my kids to see what their father built. I want them to be a part of it. Maybe it's supposed to be something that inspires them and encourages them to think, okay, we live in the greatest country where you can be so many different things. You can be a mother. You can be an author. You can be a nurse. You can be a teacher. in one full lifetime. You don't have to just be one thing. And honestly, being a mother is one of the greatest honors and privileges and job titles you could ever have, because there's something so powerful in true, authentic, biblical womanhood. And it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something that you have to be categorized as, and you don't have to fall into, you know, being a trad wife and making sourdough bread. I never fell in that category, or being a boss babe and never being around your kids. There's a balance is slightly not real, but there's a way to cohesively blend your life in a way that's honoring to the Lord and what he's blessed you with, but also to what he's held you responsible for.
My, have the tables turned. I mean, I'm just saying it's, you know, just a stark difference from what she was saying before. And this is just how the Lord works. Like he genuinely will humble you. And this is like, so as someone who grew up in like a very traditional, strict Christian, legalistic life, it's very easy to judge other people when they're not doing what you've done or what you are doing. And you can very easily get into this space where you're condemning people for not living their life the way that you do. But the Lord, boy, he'll come in there and say, "Oh, yeah, let me clean out that you still got a little world in you because you're judging those people over there, and they're still walking in the will of the Lord." You see, it's not like they're sinning; they're walking in the will of the Lord. This is just what their life is like, and He will sometimes give you a taste of that. And so, yes, you have to backtrack a little bit and say, you know what? There's a way to do it. Because that was not her message before, that there was a way to get it all done. There was a way to integrate it. Yeah, you have to backtrack.
And community is so important. Like you said, believers that you don't even know, there's an instant connection. So for you, I wonder if it was always tricky or if it's impossible now to worship in community, to actually go to church.
It's interesting. I intentionally have not, since 9/10, I have intentionally not brought my children to a full service. I did bring them to a daytime service at one point.
By the way, I just want to be clear that she's talking about mass, and this is nothing against the Catholics. I'm just saying, because remember, she was trying to intimate that Charlie Kirk was not going to mass and that she's not a Catholic. And I think she is. I think and that's fine. That's okay. It doesn't really fit the message of Charlie Kirk. But yes, so she's like, service. Okay, churches don't have, evangelical Christian churches do not have daytime services. We have either Bible study, prayer meeting, but we don't have services. So she's talking about mass, but it's interesting that she didn't use that word. But here she's going to talk about her children again.
But when it comes to Sunday or Saturday worship, when I would go to a physical church, I chose not to bring my children. I don't need the photos of my children. I would like to keep some things in my life very private, and Charlie and I were very intentional about that with our kids. We would always believe that it's important to protect what you love. And I want my babies to have a childhood. I don't need them to be dragged through the mud on social media. They're precious to me.
And that's that. There's more, but that's it for today's video as it relates to that. But I am curious what they did when Charlie was alive. Did one of them go to mass and one of them not? I'm just curious how they navigated that, or did they actually go to church together, meaning mass together? I believe there are some photos of them at mass, so I don't think it's out of the question for her to take her children. I think maybe it is different now that Charlie is gone, and she probably just doesn't want to do that. But let's not act like, it hasn't been done before. You know what I mean? So that's it. I just wanted to share that with you guys because people had been asking questions about whether or not she lost custody of her children. She did not. And don't forget to like this video on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next one.